The Washington Wizards have officially released their summer league roster, and head coach Brian Keefe fills out the rest of his staff. Lots to talk about next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, everybody, I'd like to talk about today. The news has finally dropped. The Wizards have officially released their summer league roster. So I'm gonna go through the roster and I'm gonna kind of give you areas where, or I guess, the pros and cons of each player on the roster going into the summer league matchup Friday night against the Atlanta Hawks. So as you guys know, today I actually chatted with Alex Sarr and Tristan Vucevic and the head coach of the summer league team, head coach Topper. So like I said, I put out the questions and answers on X, and I'm going to, after the video, I'm going to put it on YouTube so you guys know exactly what I asked and what the responses are, because got really good responses from Alex Sarr, Tristan Vucevic, and head coach Topper, the summer league head coach. So let's get into it, everybody. Let's tuck in, as the Brits say. Our cousins on the other side of the pond. All right, so the summer league rosters. All right, let's dig into it. All right, so I'm going to go through again, I'm gonna go through each player and kind of give you the pros and cons and the variables, and because obviously each player in the roster is at a different area of their career, right? Alex Sarr is gonna be different than Johnny Davis, right? So let's get into the summer league roster. All right, kicking it off is Patrick Baldwin Jr., 6'9" forward. So he played with the Wizards in limited action last season, being acquired in the trade along with Jordan Poole and Ryan Rollins, which we all know what happened to Ryan Rollins. But so Patrick Baldwin Jr., he's a guy on the second unit that you definitely want to see him, definitely put in some good time in summer league, because what is his future? Everybody on this roster is put on notice outside of obviously Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, and Tristan Vucevic. So he's one of those guys where you got to see something now. Looking at Patrick Baldwin Jr., we know he's a sniper. He's a shooter. Obviously, you don't want him to be a one-trick pony. You want him to contribute in other ways, such as rebounding or playmaking. And right now, he's a catch-and-shoot three-point sniper. And yes, his rebounding-wise, in the second half of the season, he really got better at rebounding. So, with his size, 6'9", 6'10", if you round that thing up, he's a guy who you definitely want to see him go into the paint and get rebounds, because 6'9", 6'10", man, you definitely want to see him more active in the paint getting rebounds. But I think this is a good move, man. I definitely intrigued to see what he can do in summer league, because he's a guy that definitely needs work. He was very raw coming from the Golden State Warriors, and then the University of Milwaukee, where he played with his father. But he has potential. So I'm definitely intrigued to see what he can do in the summer league, and how he can contribute on the second unit this season. All right, going down the list, Jules Bernard, 6'6" guard, who played in limited action last year. Another one of the go-go guys. Jules Bernard, man. And like I said, I'm going to talk about Johnny in a little bit, but he came ready to play. And like I said, I always have had high marks for this Capital City Go-Go, for what they're doing over there, because they're getting these guys ready for when injuries happen, when things like COVID happen, when people have kids and they're on paternity leave. These guys come up and they play really good basketball, and they're getting them ready to play. And so the Capital City Go-Go, I don't think enough credit goes their way for the fact that they're getting these guys ready to play. Jules Bernard is one of those guys. Champagne's another guy. Obviously the success stories are Jordan Goodwin and Jared Butler, because they were able to go from the Capital City Go-Go and get NBA standard contracts. And so I think they're doing great work with the Capital City Go-Go. All roads lead back to general manager Amber Nichols, in my opinion, because she's doing a great job, not only developing these young players on the Capital City Go-Go, getting them playing minutes, but these guys are ready to play when the call comes for them to step up to the Wizards and play. So Jules Bernard's a guy who played good basketball last year, so another good roster spot. Jared Butler, 6'3" guard. We know what Jared Butler can do. He got his NBA standard contract last season, and right now is very interesting. And I think that, yes, he's got to show a little something in the summer league. Why? Easy. Bub Carrington. I mean, Bub Carrington is slotted to be the next point guard of the Washington Wizards as far as in the future. Now, obviously, Jordan Poole's the guy now, and should be, but Bub Carrington is the guy who is slated to be the long-term point guard. So Jared Butler, he has to show something because, yes, this season is the last guaranteed year of his contract. Next year they can move on, kind of like Landry Shaman, where next year is not guaranteed. Same thing with Eugene and Marie. Believe this is the last year of guaranteed money on his contract. So he's got to show something because Bub Carrington is a guy that he's going to get minutes, and he should get minutes because he is the clear-cut favorite to be the next great Wizards point guard. I don't know that the great, but I think that he's definitely going to be the prospect who's considered to be the next point guard for the Washington Wizards long-term, looking past Jordan Poole. Or, and like I said, a lot of decisions need to be made because we don't know what the vision is officially from the front office when it comes to Jordan Poole. But, looking at the Denny trade, looking at other moves, if Denny wasn't part of the timeline, then you can argue that he's not either. So even though I thought both of them should have been parts of the rebuild, but, like I said, no point of crying over spilled milk. Looking forward. So looking at the rest of the roster, John Butler Jr., 7-foot power forward / center that played with the Capital City Go-Go this previous season. Now, he is kind of a tweener. At 7 foot, 175 pounds. So, the NBA body just ain't there yet. And obviously, but very intrigued. He's a guy that I thought that they should maybe give him, a look last season, especially in the second half when they're trying to evaluate a lot of these young players. So I am intrigued with John Butler Jr., man. I think that obviously he needs to hit the weight room. For him to be able to contribute on the NBA level, he's got to be over 200 pounds, man. He'd be able to deal with a lot of these bigger power forwards and these centers, man. Because look, guys are more agile, guys are more athletic, but guys are still 230 pounds at the center position. Andre Drummond, while he doesn't stretch the floor, his body type are the type of centers you got to deal with. Jokic, big boy, list goes on. So you definitely want to see him kind of try to fill his body out and hit the weight room, but very intrigued to see what he can do. All right, next, number 17, Bub Carrington, the 6'4" guard out of the University of Pittsburgh. Yes, very, very intrigued to see what Bub can do, man. Like I said, he's a future at the point guard position, and he can flat out shoot the ball. Now, obviously, talking to Coach Topper, Cody Topper, that is, I asked him today, I said, you have a roster where you have guys that have experience. Patrick Baldwin Jr. and Jules Bernard. And then you have, rookies like Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, and Keyshawn George. How do you balance the playing time? And he told me today, he said, look, we have so much talent on this roster. And the front office has done such a good job, especially when you look at Will Dawkins and the Wizard staff and their front office kind of working in concert with the Capital City Go-Go. There's a lot of young talent in this organization. So they're going to look at minutes distribution as a game-to-game type of thing. So it's not a one size fit all. It's gonna be sparing. It's gonna be different in each game. They're gonna definitely be methodical with how they distribute minutes this summer league. So let's get through this list, man, because I definitely wanted to. I hurried up and got home because I wanted to put this info out there to you guys today, man, because I know everybody, including myself, wanted to know the final summer league roster. So next on the list, Justin Champagnie, again, 6'6" forward. Last year, contributed when he got playing time, he contributed. And both him and Jules Bernard, coming from the Capital City Go-Go, played really good minutes, man. And so I'm very, like I said, we have a lot of depth as young talent in this team. And I love the direction we're going because, just looking at Jules Bernard and Justin Champagnie, the fact that these guys, they're often overlooked when it comes to future. But look, and not to say that they're future parts because, obviously a lot of guys, there's going to be a lot of turnover. And obviously, they're going to add to their guys. Will Dawkins, the priorities are going to go to Bilal, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, and Tristan Vucevic, and good reason because he drafted them. He's put his mark in his front office, and and like I said, every GM does that when they come into an organization. And Will Dawkins is putting his stamp on there, and that's what you want to see him do. Tommy Shepard did the same thing, and Ernie Grunfeld, I'm sure he did the same thing. Ernie is Ernie, but let's get through it. All right, now. Johnny Davis, guard, 6'5" guard. Now, Johnny Davis. Now, the last two guys I just mentioned, Jules Bernard and Justin Champagnie, last season came in and they were automatically playing better ball than Johnny Davis. We all know the tragic story of Johnny Davis. Who do you blame? Is it him? Is it organization? And I'm not going to get into that, but obviously it all boils down to this, right? Right now, he's got to show something. I mean, he's got to show something because this very well could be his last chance. Because look, Will Dawkins ain't playing, man. I mean, if you look at the fact that he traded Denny at 23 years old and he's still improving, look, Johnny Davis, you got to show something, man. This is his last chance. So this summer league, you have to see something from Johnny Davis because, again, when you look at players like, Justin Champagny and Jules Bernard coming from the Go-Go, they came over and they were automatically better. They played better ball and they were better players than Johnny Davis. And I like Johnny Davis. I wish him well. I want to see him succeed, whether it's here in DC or on another team. But he's got to show something, man, because when you're the 10th overall pick, you're beyond the point at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you're at the point where you have to see something. 10th overall, you have to see something. Like I said, I don't know where the blame goes. Them changing his shot, maybe changing his position. Maybe that's on the organization a little bit, and not so much on this front office, but the last front office, obviously. But maybe on himself, not capitalizing the minutes. Not maximizing. Not playing to the level he should be playing when the minutes allotted. And yeah, I get it. A lot of his minutes have been kind of up and down, especially last year. His minutes were up and down. He played 15 minutes one game. He played 3 minutes one game. So you definitely want to see him get playing time. But like I said, summer league is very important for Johnny Davis because, look, this is his last chance, man. Will Dawkins and company ain't playing. All right, next, 6'8" Taylor Funk, who coming from the Capital City Go-Go. Don't know much about him, but very intrigued to see what he can do. Because like I said, I'm going to be looking at summer league hard. All right, so nothing against Taylor Funk, man. I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on him and see what he can do, but I don't have much to go on when it comes to him. All right, next, 6'7" Keyshawn George out of the University of Miami / out of the great country of Switzerland. All right, so Keyshawn George, man, could be the forward of the future. We'll see, but this is very important for him as well as Bub Carrington to kind of set their mark and let people know where they're at. Now, obviously, they're young, man. Him, Bub, Alex R. Like I said, I talked to Alex R. today. Very humble young man. Like him a lot, man. But they're very young. They're teenagers, man. So, obviously, you got to kind of stem your expectations with Summer League because if they play very well, then obviously you give them their flowers. But look, man, they're teenagers straight up. And it's going to take time for them to acclimate. Alex R. coming from a foreign league. And, Alex R. has been playing pro since 14 with Real Madrid. So Alex R. knows the intricacies of being a pro, but still the NBA, nothing against any other league because, look, foreign leagues are making up that gap. But the NBA is the NBA and it's going for a reason. So they're going to need time to acclimate. So they're still young. So definitely stem your expectations. Definitely wish them well for the performance, man. But, they're going to be very, very raw, man. It's going to take time for them to acclimate. And I think that you're going to see a better product once they get into the regular season as opposed to Summer League because Summer League is just not much of a, you know what I mean? It's tough to judge Summer League because, yeah, you can perform good in Summer League and struggle in the regular season. Or you can come out flat in Summer League and then end up having a really good year as far as regular season play. So, but, I'm definitely intrigued to see all the rookies, man. Let's get down this list before we get to the ad. Next, 5'8" guard Marquise Noel. He's coming over from the Toronto Raptors G League team, the Raptors 905. This was a guy coming out of the draft a couple years ago that I was very intrigued at. Is a smallish guard coming out of the University of Washington. But Marquise Noel, man, he's one of those guys I'm definitely going to be watching. So let's get through this list before we hit the ad. Next, 6'6" forward, or power forward, that is Eugene Emery. Emery again, this is time for him to kind of show what he can do because there are new kids on the block, man. So, guys like Jared Butler, guys like Eugene Emery, they're going to be fighting for minutes, man. So this is the time for them to kind of separate themselves. All right, next, 6'6" guard / forward, Tyler Roberson out of the University of Portland and Australia. So, again, don't know much about him, but I know that he's going to be a guy that I'm looking at. He definitely is a guy who's probably going to end up with the Go-Go, but, definitely intrigued to see what he can do. Next, 7-footer center / power forward, Alex R. My guy, man, because Alex R., like I said, I had a chance to talk to him today, and look, he's ready to roll, man. Like I said, I asked him about, he sees himself as a power forward, right? But, if we go out and get another guy, whether it's next year or year two, who plays the power forward position, how comfortable are you playing the 5? And he said, look, I'll play wherever the coach wants me to. That's that answer alone tells me where he's at, man. Look, he's the team first guy who knows where he's at. Look, that's definitely the right answer that I want to hear from him because he's a guy that team first, wherever the coach wants to put me. Love it. All right, so 2 more left, guys. 6'4" guard Eric Stevenson. Again, he's coming over from the Texas Legends. of the G League, so don't know too much about him. Now it says the Texas Legends, but then it says NBA years. Oh, okay, gotcha. So don't know much about him, but Eric Stevenson, Tyler Roberson, and was the other guy at Taylor Funk. I'm gonna dig into their a lot of their tape, and I'm gonna actually give some information about these guys, whether a video or in the message board on YouTube and Twitter. So definitely tune in for that. And the last guy on the list before we move on, Tristan Vucevic, another guy I talked to today, 7-foot power forward / center. He's a guy that, signed his 2-way contract. He's going to have plenty of time to develop behind Richaun Holmes and Jonas Valanciunas. And he looks forward to learning from them, especially Jonas Valanciunas, because he's a European who, the skill sets are very similar. So like I said, I'm going to put the questions and answers out there on YouTube, but that was definitely another question I asked Tristan Vucevic today. So that is the Washington Wizards 2024 roster under head coach Cody Toppert. So again, Cody Toppert, man, head coach of the Summer League team, seems like a really hard-nosed coach, man, that, he's about his business, man. So he's definitely going to, when it comes to minutes, it's going to vary because they have a lot of young talent that they're trying to evaluate. So we're going to look at the fact that Brian Keefe filled out his staff today. So, but before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. So I'm a big fan of Gametime. I go to games all the time. I am a sports head. Baseball season right now, I've hit the Nats a couple times. The Orioles, I'm hitting the Orioles on Saturday against the Yankees. So I'm always going to a game, and so many apps out there. But to me, my go-to, easy, Gametime. There's 3 reasons why. Number 1, last minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute tickets, not only for sports events, but for concerts, comedy shows, theater events, etc. What else do I like? All in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees to check out. I ain't gonna throw nobody out there, but a lot of the other apps are guilty for that. And last, seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, because you do not want to be that guy sitting behind a beam at FedEx. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. A free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right, everybody, let's get into it. Head coach Brian Keefe, who I saw at the facility today, he is ready to roll, man. Let me tell you. He filled out his staff today, so we're going to get into that. Let me wipe my forehead because I tell you, I got the AC unit pumping, and for some reason, brother, man, it's still sweating. So that is what it is, man. So let's get into the news for the staff, coaching staff additions. All right, so the Washington Wizards announced additions to head coach Brian Keefe's coaching staff for the 2024-2025 season. David Vanderpool returns for his second season with Washington, while Adam Caporn, J.J. Outlaw, Brian Randall, T.J. Sorrentine, and Alexis Ajinka will each serve as an assistant coach on Brian Keefe's new staff. So I'm going to go through each guy, kind of give you kind of a run-up on what their past coaching experience is, starting with Adam Caporn. He is joining Brian Keefe's staff after spending the last 3 seasons with the Brooklyn Nets organization as an assistant coach and the head coach of the Long Island Nets, the G League affiliate of the Brooklyn Nets. Next, J.J. Outlaw, who is actually from Columbia, Maryland, so he is a local product. He served as an assistant coach with the last 5 seasons. Prior to Cleveland, he spent 2 seasons with the Memphis Grizzlies and 5 seasons with the L.A. Lakers, working in scouting, player development, and assistant coach in his stops. Player development is the key part of that, and scouting, right? I'm trying to tell you guys, man, that is the key part of that. All right, next, Brian Randall comes to Washington after spending last season as an assistant with the Detroit Pistons, and holds 5 additional NBA seasons of coaching experience with the Phoenix Suns and the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is originally from Peoria, Illinois. So he actually did play 10 seasons professionally overseas, primarily in Israel, with stops in Germany and Italy. All right. And was named the Israeli League Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. So defensive minded. I'm trying to tell you, man, a lot of these moves in the coaching staff, man, are methodical. I'm trying to tell you guys, because before I get into the next couple of candidates, man, you know, what I'm hearing from each of these guys is scouting, development, defense. 3 areas that are desperately needed with the Washington Wizards to get better, man. All right, so next on the agenda, TJ Sorrentine. My bad, man. He spent the last 16 seasons on the Brown University coaching staff as an assistant coach, and then he served as an assistant head coach since 2011 with the Pawtucket. Oh, my bad. He is actually from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, so he played 4 seasons at the University of Vermont. So 16 seasons, man, at Brown University, Ivy League coach. So that is pretty cool. All right, let's see. Now, last on the staff, Alexis Ajinka. He joins the Wizards staff after spending last season as an assistant coach with the Kansas City Go-Go, and he played 9 seasons in the NBA playing with the New Orleans Pelicans. I knew that name sound familiar, man. So I remember watching him. He played with the Pelicans. He played with the Toronto Raptors, Dallas Mavericks, and the Charlotte Bobcats. Y'all remember that? A native of Saint-Étienne, France. So we have a French coach with a couple of French players, man. So we definitely have the French connection in the 202. So those are your coachings to round out the coaching staff for new head coach Brian Keefe. And like I said, the biggest takeaway from these coaches is what? 3 things, man: scouting, development, and defense. We need to be a better defensive team. We need to be, as far as scouting and development, we need to be able to scout this talent, especially in the later half of the second round, or the first round. Sorry. Second round too. But here's the thing, because a lot of these vets we have on the roster, like Kyle Kuzma, maybe Jordan Poole, but maybe to a certain degree. But even looking at Jonas Valanciunas, even Tyus Jones, any kind of draft assets you get back are going to be first round picks in the later half of the first round. So scouting is important because you need to be able to scout these diamonds in the rough. Keyshawn George to me is going to be a diamond in the rough. Very high on the young man. First time seeing him today. I didn't get the opportunity to talk to him, but I definitely will in the future, man, because I'm going to be very active this season, man. So, but scouting is important. We have been trash in scouting years past, and they ain't playing around, man. The scouting department revamped. Development, the third thing. Development has to be key. We have to develop this young talent. We are still developing Bilal Coulibaly, Tristan Vucevic, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George. These 5 gentlemen are going to have to be developed because these are the 5 guys that, look, the priority goes to them. And you saw that clearly with a lot of the moves being made, whether it's the Denny Avdia move, the fact that Corey Kispert is on the trade block. If you look at, Tyus Jones, do they work out a sign and trade with him? They're trying to flip a lot of these vets. And if you look at the contracts and the timeline of the contracts of Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, and Jonas Valanciunas, that lines up with what? Bilal being eligible for the rookie extension. So a lot of these moves being made are for the future. And yes, you have veteran talent on this team, but, and each one of them is kind of different as far as their individual timelines. Looking at, Jonas Valanciunas, man, at age 32, we're going to see in preseason and in the first part of the regular season what, where he's at, because obviously he's going to start to decline starting the season. Now, how bad it is decline, we're going to see. He's officially starting to move out of his prime, because usually the NBA, the prime is around age 27 to 31. So not to say that he's going to completely start declining rapidly. He very well could have a pretty good year. But if you look at the numbers, I kind of went over it before, in previous videos. If you look at his numbers, man, he's been declining the last 3 years. So, the trend, it looks like he's going to continue to decline. So we'll see what areas of his game. Obviously, transition, we'll see. But Jordan Poole, again, a young talent that I think that because of his age, what you can get from him might be a better package you get from Kuzma, even though I think that they're going to still, because right now the asking price is still 2 first-round picks for Kyle Kuzma. So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of turnaround with this roster within the next couple of years. This deadline is going to be very active for the Wizards. Next offseason is going to be very active because a lot of these mentors, like Malcolm Brogdon, which I didn't mention, a lot of these mentors, man, like Malcolm Brogdon, Jonas Valanciunas, are probably going to be moved for picks or young players in return, which I like, man, because like I said, Will Dawkins, let the man cook. He's cooking like the Bear, man. And I don't know if you guys watch the Bear, man, but this man is cooking like an air fryer. Let Will Dawkins cook. So everybody, all right, we covered a lot today. Like I said, we were supposed to have State of the Wizards on as guest on tonight, but we as getting pushed back to tomorrow. So tomorrow we're gonna have guest State of the Wizards podcast on Wiz Takes and his co-host DC Hoopla. They're gonna come on and talk about a lot of the moves made by Will Dawkins, and is the asking price maybe too high for Kyle Kuzma. And again, guys, Friday night Summer League starts. It is 50-50 right now. because I might have an engagement in the morning on Saturday, so I might have to get up early. So we will see. But you guys know, man, no matter what the time, I try to get live videos out. If you see me in the last couple of years, man, we were doing West Coast trips. We're out here 1 o'clock in the morning, so probably going to end up doing the live video. But I would definitely let you guys know. Anything that happens, I always let you guys know. So, like I said, lots to talk about today. The NBA, the Washington Wizards Summer League's roster is officially out. So definitely looking forward to Summer League on Friday against the Atlanta Hawks. And head coach Brian Keefe filled out his staff with guys who are really good in scouting, development, and defense. So I like the moves of Brian Keefe's staff, man, and I look forward to how much he can grow as a coach this season coming up. So again, appreciate you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow night with special guest State of the Wizards podcast, Wiz Takes, and his guy and my guy, DC Hoopla. And like I said, on Friday night, we first Summer League game against the Atlanta Hawks. So definitely tune in for that, guys. So again, appreciate you guys. And after this episode, I will be posting the questions and answers that I put on Twitter from today, chatting with Alex R., head coach Toppert of the Summer League roster, and Tristan Vucevic, man, because I'll tell you, man, Alex R. is a funny cat. So, like I said, definitely tune in for that. So, appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys taking your time just to listen to me talk, in my opinions, man. It's much appreciated. Got a lot of love for you guys, man. So definitely appreciate you guys, man. Just taking time out of your day to listen to me, man. Obviously, you guys value what I have to say, and I appreciate that, man, because, like I said, the games, going to the practice facility, all the stuff I do is because I want you guys to get not only up-to-date info, but I want you to get a kind of a look behind the scenes, man. So I definitely want to put the high-end content out for you guys because you guys deserve it, man, because this channel does not grow within the last 2 years without you guys, man, like I said. And so appreciate you guys, man. So I will see you guys tomorrow night. Hails to the Wizards, and peace. See you guys next time.